Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. It's Monday, May 10th. I hope you're doing well and you had a great weekend. Important video today. I'm going to give a quick recap of the targeted EIDL grants and the progress there. The reopening of targeted EIDL grants for more people. I had exclusive information yesterday about this, and the supplemental grants. More of you are reporting getting funded for supplemental. I'll talk about that. And a few other pieces of big news include that the U.S. Treasury announced billions of dollars in new rental assistance funds. They announced this on Friday. I will talk about that. And moments ago, this came out. The SBA funds 16,000 restaurants through the RRF. They've announced this today. They're sending out $2 billion worth of awards, and many restaurants will start to see the funds tomorrow. I'll give a recap there. All in all, it's good progress on the SBA front. Thanks so much for subscribing and liking this video so more people see it. Be sure to watch until the end. I'm going to go over a few grant programs we just released this morning. There's a couple $1,000 plus grant programs I will mention as well. This is going to be a quick video today. Let me start with the U.S. Treasury news. You know, at the end of last week, a federal judge ruled against the country's eviction moratorium. However, the ruling has since been stayed, so it still is in effect through June, but we don't know. That may change. So that's why we wanted to bring up the rental assistance. Casey from our team just published this. How much rental assistance is available? The Treasury announced almost $22 billion in new rental assistance. The funding goes directly to states and territories to then distribute to landlords and tenants. If you are curious and you want to do a deep dive on rental assistance, if you haven't looked at it yet, go check this out. It's on our app, of course, Hello Skip, in the App Store and Google Play, and on the Skip blog. We also do state-by-state guidance. So if you're curious about Alaska, Arizona, California, we do state-by-state guidance. If this is important to you, please let us know in the comments. I've thought about doing an in-depth video on rental assistance, but I'd love to hear in the comments if you care about that. Similarly with the RRF, this is the big news. The SBA funds 16,000 restaurants through the RRF. This is just the first wave, and most of these 16,000 applied on the first day of the program last Monday. Let me read to you what the press release says. Today, the SBA will begin delivering economic relief from the RRF, established by the American Rescue Plan, to more than 16,000 approved applicants. This first round of funding represents over $2 billion of relief awarded since last Monday's successful program launch. Restaurants and other food and beverage businesses across the nation will begin to see funds in their bank account as early as Tuesday, May 11th. Here's a quote from the SBA Administrator, Isabel Guzman. Just 1 week after launching the RRF, the SBA has begun to fund applications, and more than 16,000 restaurants and food and beverage businesses will get much needed relief in their hands. The recap of this program, if it's not on your radar yet, if you are in the food and beverage space, broadly speaking, there's a high chance that you are eligible, and they predict they will run out of funding. I will link to the step-by-step video I did on the RRF, but basically, the RRF covers any gap in funding. So your 2019 revenue versus your 2020 revenue. So let's say you grossed $1 million in 2019 and only $500,000 in 2020, and you got 2 PPP draws for $200,000 total. That means your gap is $300,000, and according to the RRF, you should be eligible for a $300,000 grant through this program. It's amazing. Many folks either don't realize that or they don't think they qualify. So I always recommend just taking a quick look if you're vaguely in that food and beverage space to see if you qualify. Finally, yesterday I shared a lot of important information. I had a 90-minute call with someone high up at the SBA who clarified a number of things. First, of course, was about the identity theft. The SBA has done many improvements to spot fraud, to spot identity theft early on in the process before any EIDL loans or EIDL grants are distributed. However, some have still slipped through the cracks, and they are working on enforcement, but they encourage folks to check their credit. If you're unsure, it's always good practice to check your credit just to make sure that your information hasn't been stolen. Again, it's good practice in general, so you're not surprised when you apply for credit later that someone took out a loan perhaps without you knowing. I've put in lots of information here on how to double check. You can go to annualcreditreport.com to see if there's any hard inquiries from Experian over the past year. If there are and you don't recognize it, you can get in touch with the SBA. I go into what you can do if you suspect you are a victim of identity theft. That's a PSA for everyone, just to be on the safe side. Second piece was targeted EIDL advances. Number one, they are speeding up the process. Number two, more supplemental grants are going out this week. We started hearing last week people were getting funded for supplemental, and I shared what the portal and email looks like. And number 3, the SBA says that they will be opening up targeted EIDL grants for more people. The question is when, but they say it'll be soon because there's plenty of funding left in the $30 billion EIDL bucket. As we know, there's been 2 groups so far. Group number 1 was people who got part of the $10,000 EIDL grant last year, but not all of it. Group number 2 was the folks who applied before December 27th, 2020, but didn't receive any EIDL grant funding. And group number 3 will be the folks who may qualify but haven't applied yet, or they applied after December 27th, 2020. Now, the tip I gave was if you want an EIDL loan, the SBA will invite people who've requested EIDL loans first for targeted EIDL advances. So you can always apply for an EIDL loan. I'll leave a link to that below as well, but the SBA says they will invite those folks first for that $10K targeted EIDL advance. The criteria for that, of course, is you have to show 30% decline in revenue over an 8-week period between 2019 and 2020. You have to have 10 or fewer employees, and everyone's favorite, you have to live in a low-income community based on the IRS guidelines. If you're not sure, go to trackeidlgrant.com. It'll take you to our app where we have an EIDL grant tracker. You can check your address and see if you qualify or not. And then you can also double check on the SBA's lookup tool as well, just to cover your bases. Finally, for those of you on the Skip app, I'm just going to read some of the grant updates we have as of this morning. There's a new $10,000 grant. There's a new low-interest small business loan program. There are grants up to $4,000, loans of up to $100,000, $500 grants for women and minority-owned businesses, and $10,000 grants for women-owned businesses as well. Those are just a few of the new ones we have up on the app. Feel free to go check those out. I'll leave a link in the description as well. Thanks so much for tuning in and liking this video so more people see it and get this important information. Stay well, stay healthy, and I'll see you tomorrow.